Let's start off this bulletin with a big story, the impending Afghan peace talks that are scheduled in a few hours. Few hours from now, a major deal will be signed in Doha. Representatives from America and the Taliban will sign an agreement which is being sold as a peace deal. The entire world will have its eyes on this event, and WION is the only Indian network that will bring you live updates from Qatar. But first, let us tell you what this Afghanistan peace deal is all about. Now, the specific deals of the agreement are still unclear, but we can tell you this, that the agreement will pave the way for the withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan. For 18 years, American soldiers have been in the country fighting against the Taliban. Now they are striking a deal with the very same group. Ahead of the signing, the Taliban had agreed to implement a reduction in violence, which began on February 22nd. This was a confidence-building measure, something that assured the Americans that the Taliban are willing to sign the deal. And now joining me is Mustafa Kazemi, our Kabul correspondent, who will give us some insights into this. Mustafa, analysts believe that while the US has an important role to play, the crucial players in these talks are all within the Afghan government. So what lies ahead for the country?
Well, there's a mix of hope and skepticism in Afghanistan. The people are partially saying that the Afghan people have been the actual victims of the violence and the actual war between the Taliban and the United States, the Afghan government, for over 19 years, since 2001 when the US invaded Afghanistan. And they believe that the first deal, the first signature that will happen within a few hours in Doha must have been between the Taliban and the Afghan people and the Afghan government, not with the United States, because the prime victim of this violence, this 19 years long war, was the Afghan people. But on the other side, the hope has been increased, and people are most hopeful. They're saying, with whomever the deal is being signed, we are careless about that. We just want an end to be put to this war. And as we have seen the 6-member delegation from the Afghan government already in prison in Doha, still unknown who have invited this 6-member delegation to Doha. But we now know that the Taliban has openly claimed that they will not speak to this 6-member delegation from the Afghan government, which has created a sort of negative aura against this signature signing, the deal signing ceremony. And on the other hand, the Afghan government has unofficially acknowledged that they have sent this delegation, unofficial, I reiterate, to open the doors for the intra-Afghan talks, which will happen following the signing ceremony between the United States and the Taliban.
Right. Mustafa, stay with us. We'll come back to you for one more question. Joining us live now also is Siddhant Sibal, our principal diplomatic correspondent. Siddhant, tell us, what do other players like India and Pakistan bring to the table at this discussion? Because as we understand, the main stakeholders in this are the US and the Afghan government.
Well, when it comes to India, India has been the partner in the Afghan development, in Afghan growth, and a lot of projects, whether infrastructure projects or capacity building. Even as we speak, we know that the Indian Foreign Secretary is in Kabul. Yesterday, he met the President, the Vice President, the Chief Executive and other stakeholders. Today, he met the Finance Minister, and 2 deals have been signed for infrastructure project, deals worth millions of dollars. This shows New Delhi's intent is clear that when it comes to Afghanistan, it is eager to reach out. We know that to connect Afghanistan, being a landlocked country, India started the India-Afghanistan air corridor, and through the Chabar project, which goes via Iran. India has started a lot of connectivity projects and made sure that the Americans agree to provide reprieve from the Iranian sanctions for this specific project. So India is willing to go beyond things and help the government in Kabul. But when it comes to Pakistan, story is different. Pakistan has always been keen to have a strategic influence in Afghanistan, an influence which it can use, especially to make sure that there are Pakistani terrorist camps in Afghanistan which can be used against India. In the 90s, when Afghanistan was ruled by Taliban, we know that Pakistan enjoyed considerable influence it used to fan cross-border terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. We know the story of Jammu and Kashmir in 90s. Will there be a reputation is something that will be watched by officials, by global governments. But we know that the Indian government has told the American side that there should not be any reputation, and the gains of last 19 years, the democratic gains of last 19 years should not be wasted. So these are the geopolitical games, but we also know that India does recognize that Taliban could be a reality very soon in Afghanistan, in the government in Kabul. So what will be the new policy of India is something which will be watched, but India does understand that it might have to open a door through diplomacy with Taliban.
Right. Sadhan, thank you for those insights. Mustafa, I have one more question for you. Let's talk about the people who will be most affected by the outcome of this so-called peace deal. The Afghans themselves, what do they want from this deal, especially the women who have suffered the worst at the hands of an oppressive regime?
Well, apart from the local people in Afghanistan, women, children and the youth have been the prime price payers of this violence, apart from the military members and those who have been directly engaged. The women, youth and all those who have been directly exposed, and they have pretty much lost very good 2 decades, 20 years of their lives in this deadly conflict. They are on the hope side. They are thinking and they are saying openly, publicly, that it does not matter to us with whom such a deal is being signed. We just want peace. We just want an end to our sons, our daughters, our brothers being killed every day. And they want an absolute and an immediate end to the bloodshed in Afghanistan. While the hope side is as big as we are imagining and seeing it, there is also the skepticism part that once a large number of Taliban members retreat and they are reintegrated into the Afghan society and they start living a normal life with those members of the Afghan society who have pretty much lost at least one member of a family or a relative to the same group that the US is now signing a peace deal with them. There are worries, tensions among the Afghan public, as in after the Taliban reintegrate and come to the society, what is going to happen in terms of being able to share a life, share a house or share an alley with a member of the Taliban group who was involved in violence or even killed a friend or a relative of an Afghan. But all these aside, what at the end of the day every Afghan has said to be wanting is peace, and that they have said that to most of us it does not matter who is signing this deal. We just want the Taliban to cease fire and stop killing the civilians for no reason, because they are not side of the war.
Right. Mustafa, thank you for that. We'll come back to you for more later as the peace talks are underway. And now, as WION continues to report from Ground Zero, our Pakistan Bureau Chief, Anas Malik, sent us this ground report highlighting the security arrangements ahead of the peace deal from Doha. Let's listen in.
This is the big day today here in Doha. As you can see right behind me, there's a proper media contingent that is present from all across the world, and all eyes today on that big agreement, the agreement to bringing peace in Afghanistan. If we talk about the security arrangements, well, practically the Qatari police and and other agencies have taken over this hotel and beyond the roads leading to this hotel as well. We were stopped at least 500 meters beyond that point, and we had to walk after getting our equipment checked through the security. Additionally, currently as we speak, the media room is on towards my left. That has been made the media room, and that is called the Al Rayyan Hall, and that is currently undergoing through a security sweep. Now, try understanding the amount of security that is in place. That the ceremony is to start at 3:45. By 1:30 is the cutoff till when cameras and media persons, those who have been accredited and have been issued passes like these, can go, and then we will have to exit and be taken to another room and be screened, and that media room will also be screened for the second time. So there are stricter security measures that are in place by the Qatari government in order to ensure the smooth flow of events today that have been planned. And absolutely, this is a big day in the history of Afghanistan, where an agreement between the Afghan Taliban and US government is being reached upon and will be signed later today for the basic reason of bringing peace in Afghanistan. Anas Malik in Doha, Qatar, For WION, World is One.